Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to another episode of REISmartTalk. I'm Scott Snufke. I'm Senior Direct Marketing Coach here at REIPrintMail. Today I got a really special guest with me. If you love one-on-one coaching, if that's how you learn the best, I want to introduce Shiloh Lundahl. He's got a coaching model where he sits down with you one-on-one every other week. You get a half hour with him, but the beauty of it is at the end of the day, at the end of the year, if you fill out all the things, you get half your money back. So you kind of are buying into yourself and you're setting yourself up for success. You're not going to get to hide in the back of the classroom and let other people do the work. You're going to be held accountable. So, hey, I want to introduce you to Shiloh. How are you doing today, Shiloh?
I'm doing great, Scott. Thanks for letting me come on your show. I appreciate it.
Man, I'm looking forward to this because there's so many investors out there that I'm this way myself, is I will sit in the back of the room and listen a lot. But, sometimes it's that action. We all know that we need to take massive action in this kind of industry that, if we're sitting still, we're getting passed up. So, in order to grow, not everybody learns the same. Not everybody can hold themselves accountable. They need other people to do so. So they look for mentoring and coaching. And then you're filling a certain niche and need for that person that, needs that one-on-one to sit down and work through their problems on a one-on-one basis, but might be shy to talk in the middle of class or something of that nature. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of different coaching with real estate, and some of the coaching that I've done has been more helpful than others. I think for me, I'm somebody that really learns a lot through hand-holding, through one-on-one coaching, right? The coaching that I've gotten has been kind of a mix. Some I've gotten that was hand-holding one-on-one, and I did that. That actually was more helpful for me. The other coaching programs I paid into, I paid maybe $10,000 here or there, and it's kind of you buy into a program, it's kind of a group program. They may set up some groups for you to go and attend, and then you get some access to the coach, and then what they do is they give you a lot of materials that you can learn and that you can kind of read up on and things like that. But what I've seen is there's not a lot of accountability. And I think that's the thing that is tough for some people. There are some people that, just like my wife, she can go out, read a book, and go do it, and doesn't need anybody to keep her accountable. And that's so awesome. However, for me, I like to have, this needs to be done at this day and this time, because otherwise I'm doing so many things that are urgent that I may not get the thing done, not because I don't want to do it, but because I'm doing so many other things that I have to get done that I may not get to that part where I really want to learn and put effort. So it really takes a disciplined mind to do that. And I recognize that for me, I work better when there's dates that things need to be done and when I have somebody that shows me how to do it. So that's why I kind of created the coaching program that I wish I had at the beginning. And so what it is somebody will pay me, like at this moment, the cost is $10,000. They pay me for a year-long coaching. And it's 25 phone calls over a year-long period. And I give them certain homework to do in between each phone call. And if they do that homework, they can actually earn back, as you mentioned, up to 50% of the cost of coaching. So it really gets people engaged and keeps them engaged the whole time, because if they quit before it's done, then they don't get that refund. But if they continue through it and do the homework, that homework is geared towards helping them accomplish their goals. And so if they do it, they're able to accomplish their goals and earn back half of the coaching program. So it's been great. I've had about 90% success rate with the people that I've coached over the last several years.
That's awesome. And the two things I just picked up out of that I struggle with, and I have ADHD like there's no tomorrow, is one, the deadlines. If I don't have a deadline when I need to get something done by, I'm going to procrastinate on it a bit. So, holding accountability and deadlines, perfect for ADHDers. And we all know that the people that struggled the most in high school sometimes are the best entrepreneurs, because they're not afraid to go after it or do it when they need to do it. So it sets that up. And then the other thing I just took out of what you just said is, it's the old saying of how do you eat an elephant, because that's what we're getting into this coaching model and learning a new business. It can be a little overwhelming. And if you're sitting in front of an elephant and you got to eat it, the saying is, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. So you basically get 25 bites to sit down with you with homework assignment to go through it. And you're rewarded at the end by getting half the money back potentially. So it sounds like you've solved a lot of the problems that a lot of coaching people that jump into these coaching models come across, that they can't hide in the back of the classroom because they're one-on-one. They have set deadlines and a timer and things to get stuff done by. So there's the motivation to get it done. And then there's a reward at the end that you could potentially, as long as you do all this, you get it back. So there's a completion reward. And the problem with most coaching programs that I've come across out there is you get it all at once, you're overwhelmed by it. So then your sense of urgency drops off because you're like, I don't think I can do this. And I just wasted that money.
Yeah, and I would say that. And then a lot of times you don't know exactly where to start.
Right.
So that's the thing that's tough. It's like, okay, you want this coaching program? I've been doing this for years. Here you go, bam. Just like what you said, overwhelmed, not knowing where to start, and then not feeling the urgency. All of those together lead somebody to doing what they've been doing for a long time, and they don't tend to improve.
Copy. So now that we've talked about the how, let's talk about the what. Is inside of this model, what are they going to learn? Is it wholesaling? Is it buy and hold, the BRRRR method, subject to, what's your bread and butter inside of there?
So I've been investing since 2010, more actively since 2015, and I have owned and sold, again, I'm not a wholesaler, but I'm a buy and hold investor, and I'll tend to hold properties for 3 to 5 years. And so I've owned hundreds of properties, and the model that I do a lot, I do the BRRRR model, right? The buy, rehab, refinance, rent and repeat, right? I do that. But then what I do is I also add lease options to it. Mm-hmm. And so lease options kind of like a long flip. Okay, so I'm going to hold it for 3 to 5 years, but at the same time, a lot of times I don't have to go and do a ton to the property myself. Right. I can get into the property. It depends on how bad the property is. If the property is horrible, I'm going to do a full rehab. If the property is not horrible and doesn't stink, then I'll go in there and I'll say, okay, well, I can market this. Somebody comes in, they look at it and they're like, yeah, I can take this on and I can add, my preferences to this property, and I'll sell it to them under market value. So I got it way under market value. I'll sell it to them still under market value. They can put their own sweat and tears into it and build it up to what they want it to be. Then they can still buy it at that price that I gave them. So they're happy because they get into a property that they can add value to. I'm happy because when they go to buy it, I don't have to pay closing costs. I don't have to pay realtor fees. I don't have to pay concessions. And that's what kills a lot of people, especially right now in a buyer's market, where you put a property out on the market for $250, you get an offer at like $230 or $235, and then they say, okay, now I want you also to pay my realtor fees. I also want you to pay 3% in concessions. So you put it out there for $250, you're actually getting like $215 to $220 on it. You're like, my goodness, where did that $30,000 or $35,000 go?
Right.
That's a big deal. For some people, that's the amount that they make on a flip. It's like, how do I flip if $35,000 of my profit is just gone? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, as you are holding those properties and have them under owner finance, are you able to cost seg those to where it's also a tax write-off for you at that point? Or how does that work with?
I don't do a lot of cost segregation because I'm not going to keep it for very long.
Right.
And so when you don't keep it for very long, what I understand with cost segregation is that money all comes to where you have to pay that anyway. So if I'm going to keep something for long term, a big property for long term, then I'd probably do a cost segregation on that one.
Right. Gotcha. Now, how are you coaching to find these properties? Are you mostly looking through wholesalers, or coaching them on marketing? How are you doing that?
So I usually coach people that are professionals. I'm a professional myself. I'm a therapist. Went to school, got my degree. I still meet with clients. I work with a lot of people that are engineers, to be honest.
Right.
They have a high-paying job, and they just get killed on taxes. They want something that will help lower their taxes, and they also want to build wealth over time. So those are the people that I coach. I host a meetup, and that's how I find some of them. I also post on BiggerPockets, and they reach out to me through BiggerPockets as well. And what I coach them to do is just basically 6 things. How to find properties, and the majority of the time with that is I teach them how to do it through wholesalers, how to get on wholesaler lists. I teach them how to use Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor really well to kind of take a look at where the market's at so that they can recognize how to spot a good deal. So I work with them on that, right? Then I also work with them on how to get initial funding, how to work with hard money lenders or private money lenders and credit lines in order to get initial funding. to purchase the property, and then how to get the property fixed up according to what their goal is, and then how to find a good tenant, then how to get long-term financing, and then how to manage the property. Those are really the 6 things. When you're getting started, if you can learn how to do all of those 6 things pretty well, then you can scale pretty well by learning how to do those 6 things. And then after you get a handful, maybe 10 or 15 properties, or I'm sorry, 5 to 10 properties, now you need to switch your model to where now I need an assistant to help me with what's going on. I need to make sure I have a bookkeeper. So you can handle it pretty well on your own, especially if they're lease option properties, because they don't require as much to handle it. And you can do that for a little while until you get more and more, and then you need to really start building up an infrastructure of people to help you.
Yeah, and for those that are new listening for the first time and might not understand, can you explain what a lease option is?
Sure. So a regular renter is somebody who comes in, they lease a property, and they lease it for a certain period of time, and then they move on, right? The owner retains the property. The owner may need to go and do fixes in between when people move out and when people move in. And the owner's hoping over time there will be appreciation with the property. They want the tenant to be in there and pay down their loan, and then over time they get this big chunk, right? Well, what lease option is like, okay, you come into my property and you have a period of time to work towards purchasing the property. And then if you do what you got to do in order to purchase it, and you purchase it within that period of time, then you can become the homeowner, right? So what I'm really looking for is somebody who wants to be a tenant in order to own the home. So they move in, they live there for I think 2 to 3 years, depending on the option time frame, and they give me an option fee, which means they pay me sometimes between I'd say $4,000 and $6,000. They give me that money for the right to buy the property from me within a period of time. And I usually will add about 10% to the current value, because there's usually normal appreciation about 3% per year. It should go up to about 10% higher within 3 years. And then they're able to buy the property from me at that point. And so that's how the lease option works.
Now, are you doing any owner finance with that?
No, I want them to get the bank loan. It pays me out, and then I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and then move on to the next.
Yeah, I usually get loans on these properties. And so really I'm looking for that windfall when they exercise the option.
Right. That's awesome. And so start to finish, you're coming in, you're coaching on the one-on-one. So we're looking for busy entrepreneurs or busy people that are making a good income, that are looking for a tax strategy or a tax shelter to keep that money and keep investing it into their business. And then you're teaching them strategies on the BRRRR method and lease options and stuff like that. So somebody that comes in with zero knowledge of real estate, but hears that they can make money in it, you're going to walk them through one-on-one within the course of a year with a little bit of homework, but they walk out of it with a lot of knowledge. And if they follow your course all the way through from start to finish, they're going to get a portion of that back also, just for being successful and following along.
Absolutely. And it's not just information that they get. So like the type of homework that I'll give them at the very beginning, it's like, all right, so what is it that you want to accomplish during this year? They say, I want to buy 3 properties. Okay, let's work towards 3 properties. What are you starting with? They tell me what they're starting with. Okay, fantastic. So we start with finding. So again, they're starting to do things. I don't just tell them, hey, this is a good concept. I give them the homework. Your homework this week is to go onto Google and type in real estate wholesaler and then the city that you want to buy properties in. Okay, that's one of your homeworks. Another one of your homeworks is to go to a meetup somewhere in your area, and at the meetup say, I'm an investor, I'm looking to get on wholesaler lists. And so then you go and you start networking with people, and then you need to go on to Facebook and go on to the real estate groups. And in Facebook you say, hey, I'm a real estate investor, I'm looking to get on some wholesale lists. Please DM me so I can give you my information. You see what I'm saying? So when they do all 3 of those things, the likelihood is they're going to get, and they spend a couple of hours on that in a week or 2 period of time, the likelihood is they're going to start getting deal flow coming to them, right? So that's the first thing that you do. Now, when I have these properties coming to me, I need to know that they're good properties. So now I'm going to teach them, we'll go on to Zillow, find the sold properties, you know what I'm talking about? And so I give them that type of homework. It isn't just information, it's go do this, come back, and let's talk about what you found.
Yeah,
So it's
that makes a lot of sense.
experience.
And the great part of that, it's all one-on-one. So it's not that there's multiple people in the classroom, so they don't have to be afraid to share. Because sometimes we have that failure to launch with some people, and they can come in as uneducated in real estate, and then by the time they walk out, they have a college degree just in real estate. And for a fraction of what it would be to go to college to get it. So it's a little bit more accelerated. And by the time you're finishing the year, technically that $5,000, one that they're getting back potentially if they complete the course to a satisfactory, and the other $5,000 that they spend, they're already going to earn that back because you're going to teach them how to, buy at a cheaper rate and then get that income coming in that most likely they're basically breaking even, if not well above par by the time they hit the end of the year.
Correct. Absolutely. I would say the average person that works with me over the last probably 3 years purchases 2 to 3 properties, and they increase their net worth by about $100,000.
Right. And so not only grow their net worth, because they're probably making a couple $100,000 a year in their field, and they're paying 30%, $60,000 in taxes, something of that nature. So they're going to be saving that. I know that was my biggest thing here at REIPrintMail, that the first time that I got deep into 6 figures, I was like, wait a minute. That's a little big, Uncle Sam. Let's get off that bite a little bit. And
Correct.
I was getting into the tax strategy and the tax savings, and then I'm able to bring that money back every year or not pay it in, and then utilize that to buy more. So it has a compounding effect that most people don't understand, that real estate, it was built, by politicians to hide their money. So all of the rules, all you're doing is playing inside of the rules anyway.
Correct. I think that's true. At the same time, the government doesn't do well at providing housing.
Right.
They don't. And so there are incentives, like the government incentivizes things that they want other people to do.
Yep.
That's one of the things they incentivize is, hey, if you provide housing and here's a list of rules that you have to do it by, you can provide housing and follow these rules, then here's a tax benefit for you to do that. And so that's fantastic, and it's very, very helpful. And so you can keep that money so that you can continue to invest it, and it does have a huge compounding effect.
That's awesome. So what's the best way to find you? Where can they find you on the socials and on the internet to sign up with you?
Sure. So they can go to meetshiloh.com. That's meetshiloh.com. And that's like my online business card. And on there, you'll see there's links to all of my social media. There's a video that kind of goes into my coaching program. Then also on there, I have a link to some of the retreats that I do. So I host some retreats. I'm actually here in Costa Rica right now. I came down to help kind of finalize some stuff with the new pickleball courts that we put on one of our properties. But I host retreats here for 2 separate groups of people. One is for a mastermind group of investors that have a lot of success and that want to connect with other high-level investors that have had a lot of success so that they can talk business level, what can they do in order to improve their businesses and things like that. So I have a mastermind group in April, and it's fantastic. I've done it several times. The people absolutely love it. And then I have another retreat in October for people that are new, that are just getting started. And then we go over those 6 things that I said: how to find, how to get initial funding, how to fix it up, how to find a good tenant, how to get long-term financing, and how to manage the property. And so that's what they learn in that meeting. But it's fantastic. So you can do that as well. That's another way of really connecting with me, is come to the retreats, or just, through coaching with meetshiloh.com.
I love it. It's difficult in this day and age to find somebody that is doing one-on-one, because the majority of people out there do it in that group setting, and they want bulk and they want to grow and expand. I like what you said earlier about you're a therapist at the same point. So you understand the intellectual side of how to help and how you are in a very niche field. So that new investor that's coming in is going to feel very comfortable in your arms, to say the least. Of the conversations that you and I've had, I've enjoyed all of them. So moving forward, make sure that you follow and like this subscription if you want to hear more of these, me introducing more of our friends inside of the industry. And then also go find meetshiloh.com to learn more from what he's doing inside the industry from his vantage point. And thanks for following us today. Thanks for listening. Look forward to catching up next time. Thanks for joining me, Shiloh.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.